Hi, I'm Rob Cosman. Welcome to my shop. How to use winding sticks. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the process, perhaps even introducing you to something called winding sticks. And they're used to determine if the face of your board is truly flat without any wind, twist, humps, or bumps. Stay tuned. This is important. I'm Rob Cosman, and welcome to my shop. All right. Okay. At this point, we've got our piece of store-bought lumber, which has been surfaced on four sides. We've planed it to be nice and smooth. Now, if you missed that, check the video up above my left shoulder and you can get caught up. We've planed it. We assume it's flat. It's nice and smooth, but if it isn't absolutely flat, if we introduce this as part of our project, for instance, if you were building a drawer and there was any wind or twist in this piece, by the time you assemble three corners and go to assemble the fourth corner, those pieces aren't going to line up. You're going to have to pull it into position. And as soon as you do that, you've lost your fit that you're looking for with a nice piston fit drawer. So flatness is key to having everything work the way you want. And that's where winding sticks come into play. Winding sticks are an ancient tool, but they can be extremely accurate and teach you how, or help you get that, what will be our reference surface, absolutely flat, smooth, and literally ready for a finish. By the end of the video, stay with us, you're going to learn how to use these and it'll take your woodworking literally to the next level. All right, before we actually teach you how to use them, let's talk a little bit about the winding sticks, what to look for. Mine are 20 inches long, which is long enough. Remember, what they're primarily used to do is to exaggerate any wind or twist in the board to help you identify it. So there's always in pairs, obviously. They need to have flat bottoms and parallel tops. So if this is flat and straight, this has to be as well. And the best way to check them, especially if they're made out of wood, put them on a known flat surface. I'm using the edge of a plane. You could use a tabletop. And when you pivot it, move it like this, if it's spinning in the middle, then you know you've got a high spot, and you don't want that. I'd rather have it be slightly concave than to have it convex. If it's convex and you set it down on your board, one side or the other of the high spot, then it's going to tip and it's going to throw your accuracy off. So, straight bottoms, parallel tops. Mine have two features. One are these little white keys that are made out of holly, which is a very white wood that comes out of the eastern United States. And that's used to help identify or spot any difference in the parallelism of the two pieces when you put them in place. You'll see that momentarily. The other is a center dot. And that makes it easy so that when you're setting it on your board, it's easy to judge the center of the board, but it would be very difficult to judge the center of the board and the center of the winding sticks. So by having that dot on there, you can set that down and get it approximately in the center. All right. By the way, if you're going to make them, you need to make them out of the most stable wood that you can find. So they typically would have used straight grain quarter sawn lumber. We use something called torrefied wood, which the process of torrefying makes it so it doesn't absorb moisture, so they stay nice and true. It's been a great find for that. If you want to check out our winding sticks, we'll leave a description in the link below. This first surface is going to be our reference surface. That means we're going to use it to check and make sure the edge is square. We're going to use it to check and make sure the end is square. And once we have that edge square and straight, we'll use it to check everything else. So this surface has to be numero uno. I've put it in the vise, so before I check anything, I'm going to take it out of. I'm going to take the pressure off. Don't want to introduce any twist or any distortion as a result of the pressure applied by the vise. I'm going to take my winding sticks, and by the way, we put two little pins on there just to help keep them nice and straight. Make sure there's no debris on the face of the board or underneath your winding stick. Put this in the center. Now, the first thing I need to determine, I have to make sure that this board is not humped like this side to side. So if that pivots when I move one end, well, I can't go any further before I come back and fix that. We're also going to check to make sure that this board is flat front to back. Don't want to have any hump in there or deep hollow. And finally, what we'll do is make sure there's no wind or twist. So let's tackle these one at a time. I set my winding sticks and I do this. And that right away tells me that there is a bump in the middle of this board, and I cannot accurately use my winding sticks under that circumstance. If I were to go to the right or to the left of the hump, then the winding sticks are going to tip this way or tip that way. Can't do it. So we've got to fix that. I'll check it here to see if it's a problem all the way along the board. And it is. So I've got a bit of a hump. Now I can also spot that with my plane. I'm going to put this back under pressure. Remember to tap those bench dogs down to pull that board tight to the bench. And while I'm working on it, I'll use this as a means of finding it. And if you can't see it, if you can pivot it like that, then you know you've got that high spot, which is the same thing our winding sticks told us. So to deal with it, I'm going to take a pass. By the way, this is a piece of red oak. I'm going to take a pass right down the middle. And I'm going to keep doing that right in the middle until I no longer pick up wood. Slight adjustment to move my blade, tilt it this way just a little bit. Okay, if you look at the way a plane is built, the blade does not go side to side. It stops short about 3/16 of an inch. So by planing like I was taking the crown off of that bump until the edge of the plane starts to bottom out on the two sides of that crest. So what I have to do next is step over a little bit to the right. I'll take a pass. Then I'm going to come over and take a pass just to the left of that center cut I made. Now I'm going to go back in the middle. I'll take another one until I no longer pick up wood. I'm going to go off to the right again. I'm going to go off to the left. I'm going to come back to the middle. Now check. Nope. We're still sitting high. It's going to take me even more. Middle. I'm being careful not to go all the way to the edge. A little bit of wax. Keep the friction to a minimum. And we haven't even started to check for twist or wind. But like I said, we've got to make it so that our winding sticks can be accurately used before we do anything. Okay, you feel that? Make sure there's no plane tracks. Okay, that looks better. It actually looks good all the way across. Let's put the winding sticks on and see what they say. Yeah, I can feel it. It's improved, but it's not there yet. Still a bump there, still a bump there. Now, by the way, you want to make sure if your underside of your board is slightly cupped, when you do this, you're simply pushing down in the middle, but then when you take the plane off, it pops back up and it's very difficult to get rid of that hollow. I'm going to take a little heavier cut, so I'm going to advance the blade just a bit. Work the middle, work to the right, work to the left, come back to the middle. Okay, now I can feel a little bit of a ridge right there where I didn't go all the way. So what I'm going to do is take a pass here, one to the left of the middle, to the right, one all the way to the outside. That feels good. Oh, wait a minute, now I got a little bit of a plane track right there. I'm going to pull the blade back in. If you want to get rid of a small problem, then you have to have a small solution. That simply means having the blade pulled in so that you're not taking a big bite. Make sure there's no debris on the bottom side of the winding stick or on the face of the board. Okay, that's good. Okay, so we're going to set that right there, and we're going to put this one opposite end. Now, sometimes it's easier if you have a dark background, so I got a piece of walnut that I'll sit right behind here. Pressure's off. Now, as I squat down, I'm sighting along the top edge. Right now I can see the top, obviously the front winding stick, and I can see about 1/4 of an inch of the back one. As you lower your line of sight, you watch to see the little white tabs as they disappear. So as I drop down, just as this one disappears, as I look over here, I can still see just a little bit. It's not bad, but I can improve it. I don't know if you can get in there with the camera and see or not, but. Okay, so now we have to read what that's telling us. If we see a little bit of this, when this one disappears, it means this one is obviously higher. So we've got a bump here. But my experience has taught me that it's almost always, if this one is a little bit high, then this one is a little bit high as well. So we've got high here, low there. Well, the only thing we can do is bring the high points down to the low points. So I'm going to plane from here to here, put the pressure back on, plane from here to here, and slowly create a flat spot right here diagonally, and then spread it out until we eventually bring these high corners down to the same height as these low corners. So it's not a really bad twist. So I'm not going to have a whole lot of blade exposed. Maybe a little more than that. Keep going until we no longer get wood. That means we're now hung up by the outside edges of the bump. So I'm going to go to the left. I'm going to go to the right. I'll come back and go corner to corner. Off to the left a little. To the right. Another one corner to corner. To the left. Another one to the left. So I went, first pass was here. Next pass was here. Next pass was there. On this side, the right side, this is the pass, and I'll take one here, take one there. Okay, now feel it. Yeah, I'm going to do one complete pass from one side to the other. Okay, no plane tracks. Check to make sure I didn't introduce a bump. Whoops, that's definitely got a bump. And so does that. I didn't say this was easy. Now I'm not going all the way because the problem was just on this back half. So what I'm doing is planing and then lifting while still in a forward motion. And that prevents you from ending up with what I call a skin tag. Now I'm going to go all the way. I'm not taking much. Check that. Remember, check for debris. No, it's still high. Okay, a little more blade. I prefer to keep the plane engaged with the wood and just pull the shaving out at the end so it doesn't get sucked under the bottom when you retract, as opposed to lifting up each time and setting down, and then you bump it too hard and then it changes the setting of your blade. Easier to just stay engaged and don't worry about it dulling your blade. Each time I do that, I'm just feeling for any plane tracks. Now, I've stayed away from the absolute outside edges. Okay, let's try that. Okay, that's better. Better. Good. Hopefully we haven't thrown it out. Winding sticks front and back. Put a dark background in. Pressure's off from the bench. Okay, now it gets to a point where it's very difficult to tell, and you can only go to where your vision is limited in your ability to see any difference. And I think I just reached my limit on my ability to tell. You check it and see what you think. I think it looks good. So at this point, we can identify this as our reference surface. Now, I just running my finger over there and there's just a little bit of something right there. I want to fix that before I sign off on this.
What about front to back?
Oh, that's true, thank you. So we do need to check that. That may throw us off completely. So before I do anything, I'm gonna go, I just want to have one nice pass to clean everything up, and then we do need to check and make sure there isn't a hump front to back, which there almost always is, which comes just from the very nature of the way a hand plane works. Okay, let's put those back on. Still flat side to side. And we didn't disturb it that way. Now we got to check and see, are we flat front to back? And as expected, we have a bump in the middle. It's always going to happen. It's just the way a plane works. So what we have to do is work around that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get a marker, a dry erase marker, and I'll show you. We've got to get rid of this bump. So I'm going to take my first pass. That's going to go from about there to there. So I'll take pass number 1, pass number 2. Actually, we're probably going to be about here. Pass number 3 and pass number 4. My next series of 4 passes are going to go from here to about here. Same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4. The next one will go here and end here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we'll stop and check it. If we've gotten rid of the bump, then we'll do a complete pass end to end. If not, we'll go back in and we'll start this over again. If we are consistent and take the same amount off with each pass, hopefully we won't throw that flatness or that lack of twist out of whack. Now, before I go any further, I'm gonna put a new edge on my blade. It's so much easier to plane when it's nice and sharp. So give me a second to redo that. And if you need help on sharpening, if you check that video on over my left shoulder, that'll walk you through the process of that 32-second sharpening. Nothing beats working with a sharp blade, so don't hesitate to stop and resharpen as soon as you start to feel like you're not getting the shaving you want, or you're having to advance the blade in order to pick up a shaving. Get that blade set. Then I retract it all the way so that I'm not taking more than I expect. Now, I'll just try this till I get the adjustment I want. Maybe just a little bit. Okay, there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then come back here. 1, 2, 3, before. I'll check it real quick. Okay. Nice thing about that dry erase marker is it doesn't go very deep, even on this oak. Now check this. Okay, bumps are here and here. So the critical part here is to make sure you're removing the same amount of wood so you don't disturb what you've already done. Now, okay, I'm going to come back to within about 3/4 of an inch and go to within 3/4 of an inch. Still got a problem here. All right. Go full distance. Retract the blade. The idea of retracting the blade is small problem, small solution. Okay. That looks good. But now we've got to go back and check everything else. First we do the feel test. Feel, and I can't detect any plane tracks. Check to make sure we didn't make it high in the middle, which we did. Not bad there. Not bad there, just a little bit right here. And actually, if you look at it, that's actually not bad. I can live with that. No debris. And put our backdrop on. We've taken the pressure off the bench dogs, and we've kept that nice and flat. Perfect. Okay, now what we have is our reference face.
Did you check it end over end?
Yeah, I did. I actually used the edge of my plane, and this is where a big joiner comes in handy because you've got such a nice long surface. Sometimes easier to do it this way because you can look and see, and you're looking for light or lack thereof. Now, this is my reference face. Everything else we do, which will be in another video, is going to be referenced to this. So you can identify it any way you want. I wouldn't use a marking pen like this, but I now to put some kind of mark on there that tells me this is my good face. Everything else, as I mentioned, will be referenced off of it. Actually, you get a lot better with this with a bit of practice, but don't forget a sharp blade. Sharp blade is key. It'll make your plane work. It'll make you work a lot better. All right, hope you enjoyed this. If you like it, don't forget to subscribe, hit that bell so it'll notify you when we come out with our next video. If you enjoy my method of work and like my style of teaching, click on any one of these videos to help take your woodworking to the next level. Now, I've always said, better tools make the job so much easier. If you click on the icon with the plane and the chisel, it'll take you to our website, introduce you to all of our tools that we actually manufacture right here, as well as our workshops, both in person and online. Good luck.